I'm very, very excited to have Mallika ji here today. Just before we get to the quick question answer session, I just want to talk a little bit about Recognizing Dance. Recognizing Dance is a academic online dance platform that was started by me and another dancer, Mahalakshmi Prabhakar, in 2020, following quite an eventful and furious controversy that erupted about the history of Bharatanatyam. And what we realized, Mahalakshmi and I, was that there was a lot of misinformation going on about the history of Bharatanatyam itself. And we realized that the reason for that is that academic scholarship, access to senior dancers, things like that. It was not easy. I mean, young dancers, young practitioners, young scholars are not necessarily exposed to or have access to dance scholarship or senior artists. And they just kind of parrot whatever they've learned in some dance class somewhere. And, so there was a lot of misinformation going around. And so we decided that we call some dance scholars and dance practitioners and choreographers to this platform so that we could make dance accessible, dance theory and dance history and the thought processes and creative processes accessible. And we were very, very lucky to have a lot of dance scholars agree to come and speak on the platform. So from Dr. Saskia Kirstenboom, who wrote Nitya Sumangali, to Dr. Amrit Srinivasan, Professor Matthew Arp Allen, we've had Dr. Yashoda Thakur. We also realized, both of us being Bharatanatyam dancers, that we were a little bit uh, biased towards Bharatanatyam in the beginning, and realized that if we truly wanted to be a platform for Indian dance, that we'd have to also include other dance forms. So then slowly Odissi, Kathak, Kuchipudi, Satriya, all of them started kind of coming on our platform. And we also have a Recognizing Dance channel on YouTube where this session, as well as all of our previous sessions, will be there. So we also have an Instagram page and a newsletter. So please do subscribe to our YouTube channel, as well as follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to our newsletter if you'd like. I just wanted to say a quick couple of things about the session for those of you who are attending a Recognizing Dance session for the first time. That we do our USP, so to speak, has been that it's not that we don't do lecture series where the person that we invite, so say Dr. Mallika ji today, will just talk for 1 hour. We wanted to make it more interactive, so it's going to be a question answer session between me and Mallika ji at first, and then for in the spirit of making accessibility to bringing it to the maximum, we're also going to have an open interaction with Dr. Mallika ji. With that, welcome, Dr. Mallika Sarabhai. I'm so excited to have you here. It has been, I actually can't even remember how we first came into contact, but I know that it was because both of us felt very strongly about what was happening in various parts of the world. We were just talking about it before the recording started. And I think what really struck me was about you, Dr. Mallika, was
You can't keep calling me Dr. Mallika. Just call me Mallika. It's very
okay. Can I
awkward.
call? Okay, fine.
Mallika
Okay.
Akka.
Mallika Akka, yeah. So what I found very striking when I first interacted with you was how approachable you were. Uh, I honestly I did not expect it at all, and it was just so you spoke to me as an equal with an open heart and an open mind, and it was really wonderful. And we've had such wonderful conversations, and I'm really hoping that we'll be able to sort of touch upon some of those things that we have spoken about personally. And with that, I would like to start with the first question. And that is, when asked how you would like to be introduced, you say you'd like to be introduced not as a dancer, a choreographer, an activist, but rather as a communicator. I found that very interesting. Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
I think most things in the world go totally wrong because we can't communicate. we say something, the other person hears what she or he wants, misrepresents it. Perhaps it's our tonal quality that is off-putting. Perhaps it's a word. And I seriously feel that the kind of state of the world we are in today, what is needed is just heart-to-heart communication. And whether it's performance or whether it's a language, you and I are speaking English just now, it could be the language of mudras, it could be, as we were doing just before we started, talking to our dogs, talking through their eyes. But it's really about what I am trying to get across to you and whether you are in the receptive mode where you will take it for what it is rather than what is the agenda, what is under it, what is the hidden motive, and so on and so forth. And I think whether it's on a level of interpersonal relationships or it's in the level of two warring nations, I think communication becomes more and more and more important to be communicated to and to communicate, to be open to being communicated to and open to communicating from a position of openness and justice.
I always do this. Every single session, I have done this where I start talking when I'm still muted. I just as a follow-up question, I wanted to ask, so when you say that you're communicating, what is it that you're a communicator? What are you communicating, or what do you hope to communicate?
Whatever I'm communicating to you perhaps the kind of dancer, choreographer I am, and why that is not separate from my sense of being a human being, sense of being a humane being. I might be communicating to the viewers here uh, about my thoughts about dance or about my thoughts about why dance is not entertainment and why we do not have the luxury of entertainment today. Anything. It could be something as simple as I'm hungry. I'm not,
Right.
but
Okay, but you will be soon, I'm sure. Uh, all right. On one of your templates of your website, there is enough of all this is wrong. What does that sentence mean to you?
it's easy to criticize, isn't it? It's
Hmm.
easier to break down. We are in a country where every institution is being broken down. But how long will it take to reconstruct? How long does it take? It takes 9 months for us to give birth. And yet you can
Hmm.
snuff out that life in half a second. And
Yeah.
it's true. All of us can say, oh, that's not right, that's not right, that's not right, that's ugly, that's so and so, that's so and so, that's so and so. But hey, perhaps stop and say, let me try and do something that makes
Hmm.
things right, or let me try and do something that brings a fragrance rather than stinks. Of course, we
Hmm.
have to point out what's wrong. But that's not all that life can be about. It has to be finding solutions. Finding what is wrong is easy. But perhaps it's time we start finding solutions to the smallest things and the largest things. Because always finding what is wrong doesn't lead anywhere.
Hmm. Yeah. All right. So coming actually the next question is connected with that. You have also said that art can do things that other things can't, and you can't have barriers. I think this was your TEDx talk. Sorry, your TED talk. Um, I myself have personally believed this for a long time, but have found that it is not a very easy thing to convince other people of. That art communicates in a way that other things can't. What has been your experience of this?
You know, today we are living in a world that is ruled by the lies of the WhatsApp university.
Yeah.
And we are so polarized, especially in India, we are so polarized. I'm either with you or I have to move to Pakistan because that's the worst that
Mm,
an Indian can think of. I don't know why, but never mind.
yeah.
Uh,
Mm,
you're either with me or you are the enemy. So, how do you break through that series of walls we have created of prejudice, of saying, oh, I know all about rape, don't tell me about rape, for instance?
Mm.
And I think that when you actually go to a performance or you go to watch an artist give a talk, not even give a talk, give a lecture demonstration, maybe, you are not armed with those walls quite so much as otherwise. So I'm not talking of agit-prop where I'm hitting you over the head with what I believe in. But
Mm.
if in the middle of a very interesting performance, I am also talking about human rights, for instance, or about why or how a tree feels when you saw it, and how science tells us that that is true, that the scream of the tree has been measured, so don't unnecessarily
Yes.
spread that cruelty. Then I think what is my challenge is that I have to keep bums on seats. If my art is not enough to keep bums on seats, then I've lost it. But if
Yeah.
I'm able to keep bums on seats, and then you might turn around and say, I disagree with you. I disagree with your point of view. But somewhere I have planted something in your brain that has changed you forever. So that
Mm.
you will never, if I'm talking of rape, for instance, you will never be able to sit at the dining table and read about gang rapes and say, darling, pass me the salt.
Mm.
Somewhere something has changed. And I'm a great follower of brain sciences and everything that goes with brain sciences. And everything that I'm talking about or you believe in is actually proved through the chemicals that are released, through the electrodes that are passing messages back and forth. When you are listening to something like music, when you are watching something that pleases the mind, the fact that you are more receptive, the fact that it appeals to what we call soul, but appeals to that sense of the self which is receptive. We're talking of communication, so which is receptive.
Mm.
It puts you in, I mean, I tell my students this often. I said, all exercise is great and sports is great. But why we are fortunate with dance is because not only are we setting off the oxytocins and the serotonin, but we are listening to music. And music
Mm.
reaches a depth that nothing else does. So
Mm.
not only are we setting up all the good, um, whatever the elements in the body with exercise does, which sports does, but there is an additional layer. And that's a layer that
Mm.
is not defined by anything else except music, not even by dance. Because
Mm.
even plants, cows, animals actually react to music. And this has been
Yes.
proven scientifically time and time again. So, therefore, it is the arts which reaches that innermost self which we otherwise keep with barbed wire as safety.
Mm. Thank you for that. I actually have been trying to look for words uh, that would articulate, uh, this idea of how art can reach people in a way that other things can't. And it was beautifully said. I wanted to just ask a couple of questions about you growing up. Um, you said that when you were growing up, you grew up in a Gujarat that was buzzing with intellectual fervor and with cosmopolitanism and camaraderie between religions. Um, and of course, we all know that not just in Gujarat, but everywhere in India and perhaps even around the world, there seems to be a decline in all of these spheres. What do you think has led to a decline in all these realms in Ahmedabad, in India, in the dance world?
Fear, insecurity,
Mm.
that is
Mm.
fed on by everything we see around us. Everybody who has to prove their self-worth by wearing a brand is afraid. They're wearing the mask of the brand. Everybody who has to say how many billions they have invested is afraid that their own self is worthless without the billions. And when politicians are given this information by psychologists, when you turn each person against the next so that the British divide and rule gets a zillion times more effective with the tools we have today, the electronic tools we have, the AI we have, and when we see so much bloodshed around us, when apocalypse is no longer just an idea. I remember as a very pre-teenager reading Aldous Huxley's book and reading about test tube babies and saying, or reading 1984 and saying this is impossible.
Oh my God.
We have gone so much beyond it. I
Yes.
mean, poor Kafka is no longer Kafkaesque. You can't say something is Kafkaesque because Kafka would have been squirming at how un-Kafka he had become.
Right.
So, in a situation like that, it is just fear that rules our lives. In 1996, I did a piece called V for ... And for me, it was a time when I was researching children being violent. And there was a whole spate of accidents, unknowing killings, when children were shooting other children because they saw in cartoons that the shot person got up. And the director I was working with and I were deeply concerned that every time you talked of violence, you talked of the violated and you empathized and sympathized. But it was only in the understanding of the mind of the violator that you could actually do something about reducing violence. And it's a bit like that just now. I think we were saying that violence is really the only thing common in humanity. Today I'm saying violence and fear are the only things that is true of each and every one of us. Some of us talk to ourselves, we are honest about it, and we hopefully get over it. My personal way was that ever since I became a public figure, I would put myself out there with all my weaknesses, all my vulnerabilities, so that there was nothing I had to hide. And I have tried to keep that over the last 40 years of being a public person. I still do it. What is the fear of? The fear is of being found out because we live so many lies in our life. The fear is of being unmasked because we wear so many hypocrisies and pretend who we are not. The fear is of being found harboring illegality, whether it's financial or it's something else. But if you have stripped yourself of all of that, then there's a normal fear that my house might fall down or somebody might get run over. But that's a very different kind of fear. But the other fear goes away. The fear that the other will take away. Because we have made taking away the capitalist mecca and be all and end all of our existence. If we think we are harboring things and that shortage is what our life is about, and therefore grab, then I'm going to be worried about loss. So there's one loss of
Right.
face, there's the other loss of life, and mind you, in the horrendous bulldoze Raj that India has become, for many people that's a very real fear. But the rest live with a fear that is built by politicians to decimate you as a human being, as a humane being.
Mm. Yeah, as you were speaking, I was thinking about when you were talking about fear, that there is the fear that you mentioned about the house falling on top of us, which is such a different kind of fear than the fear of the other. And this fear of the other has become so weaponized that, so so you're saying that that is the reason why there's a decline in, yeah, that makes
Yeah,
sense
because we
actually.
are also that the means of brainwashing are a million fold today, aren't they? I mean,
Yes.
every second you are being fed hatred,
Mm,
and it's very difficult. I mean, you and I are people who actually think about this constantly and guard
mm,
ourselves against it constantly, and are people who say, yes, if this is this story, there has to be another one or a third one or a fourth one. I'm sorry,
mm.
my Noor is in one of those
And
moods
that's
where she will find my hand wherever she is, and look at that. She positions
a,
herself.
it
Fear
is
of
totally
parting.
fine.
Fear of
Yeah.
parting.
Yeah. Yeah. Separation
No,
anxiety.
but
Yeah.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying is, there's not a second when we are not, I mean, you can't look anywhere without a bombardment.
Mm,
And when people are afraid that they will die of starvation, which a lot of our people are, or that somebody will bulldoze their houses, how can we talk to them about this kind of fear? You know, a fear that is intellectual or a fear that
yeah.
is of the conscience, because their fear is very real, but that's not the fear that one can deal with, because
Mm,
all this bombardment is feeding into that real fear, is feeding into the guilt, is feeding into the illegalities most of us live with. So, you know, it's just an all around bombardment.
mm, yeah.
So
Okay. So
how
as
do we
an
build it
art,
back?
yes, how do we build it back? Yeah, actually, why not? What do you have any thoughts about that? Like, how do we build it back? How do we
Well,
build that?
hopefully one person out of the people who are listening to this will think slightly differently and maybe look for the brainwashing in everything they see. One person at a time.
Yeah. Yes, yes, one of us. Yeah. So, uh, again, another question about when you were growing up. As an artist, what was it like growing up around your mother, the legendary Mrinalini Sarabhai, uh, who said something in an interview that's actually that was, I think, last year it was going viral on social media. I think it was a Youth Ki Awaaz reel where from a very old interview where she talks about using dance not just to show beauty but also to show the ugliness in the world. And I came across this clip actually when I was creating Lori, and I was getting a lot of
Black.
responses to it. Yes, basically yes. And I said, oh my god, yes, this is this is this is exactly what I feel, and exactly the truth, that there is ugliness in the world and there is beauty in the world, and you have to see, you have to show both through dance. They can't be only the beautiful parts. Uh, so what do you think about, I mean, of course I know that you subscribe to that philosophy as well, but how is it like growing up with.
I was foolish enough to think that every artist did that, and that was the purpose of art. So it was a
Hmm,
very rude awakening many years later when I did decide to become an artist, to realize what an exception my mother was.
hmm.
And of course, I followed that part and some.
Yes, yes. But what was, can you tell us a little bit more about, in terms of dancing, in terms of what it was like in the house? How was it to, oh, and also the kind of, I don't know, I'm just throwing things out there now, but the people that you interacted with because of your mother, and the dancers maybe that you came across, or your exposure to dance, just something about um, Mrinalini Sarabhai and Mallika Sarabhai,
But
the relationship.
I thought her dancing was beautiful. I didn't want to learn dance. Uh, I learned because of peer pressure, because every single one of my friends came to Amma's classes and there was nobody to play with while they went to class. So I came.
Hmm.
I would burst into tears every time Amma would walk into a class, because I thought she'll be so ashamed of having a daughter who's as clumsy as me. Uh, I used to tag along all the time uh, to her shows and so on. Desperately proud of her. Desperately proud of her. But our home was exposed, and we were encouraged, my brother and I, to be exposed to and have conversations with all manner of people. It was not only dancers, it was Nobel scientists, and it was Peace Prize people, and it was Abdul Ghaffar Khan, and it was, I mean, you name it. It was the palette, and Kartikeya, my brother, and I were encouraged to always have conversations with them, to always be able to defend the position we took. And that is so different from any other household that I know. At the age of 5, I remember having discussions with somebody who had a Nobel Prize in physics, and this person listening to me and having a conversation. And that makes you into a very different thinking individual, because you need to be able to have a position and hold it, and yet be able to say, okay, I was wrong. I didn't know that. And I think that was the greatest gift my parents gave me, is this absolute exposure, and never a lie, never saying that stocks brought babies or anything like that. Never trying to avoid a question, ever. And I think that absolute honesty, I was desperately proud of both my parents. And whenever I won, my school used to push me into going to competitions, and my college was always pushing me. And people would always say, oh, Mallika wins because Mrinalini pulls strings. And if I won a science competition, or I got a first class first in a non-arts subject, then it was, oh, Vikram Bhai must have called somebody to let her get it. And this followed me even when I got into the Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad. When it was just 6 months after my father had died, every single thing on campus reminded me of Papa, and every single student said, oh, she's been taken on charity. And I had a complete nervous breakdown, barely passed my first year, and whipped the hell out of everybody in the second. So most of them came and apologized and said, we're very sorry, but we thought, we really did think you were taken on charity. So that was what it was like growing up.
Actually, that was a question in my mind, but like I was telling you, there were so many questions that I had to ask that I cut out some of them, but this was one of them. Like, did you ever face backlash for being the daughter of, Mrinalini and Vikram Sarabhai? So I guess you've already answered that question. I wanted to ask you about, because you talked about your upbringing, not just dancers, but many other people from different disciplines. So I wanted to ask you about multidisciplinarity, which is something that's very close to my heart as well. Um, um, classical dancers are not often encouraged to venture into multidisciplinary kind of investments, so
Indians
to
are
speak.
not. Indians are
Yeah.
not. Because parents are usually so frustrated at what they've not been able to do, that they push their children into things that they wanted to do and couldn't do. And I think this whole idea that a child needs to blossom into herself or himself doesn't occur to most Indians. You push people into becoming, I mean, it's like a conveyor belt. It's like a conveyor belt. Just think of this. You are 20 and suddenly you are married and you have a baby. You've never taken a decision in your life. What you wore was decided. Which school you went to was decided. Who were your friends was decided for you. Which subjects to take was decided for you. Which college you went to was decided for you. What hobbies you would have was decided to. What classes you went to was decided for you. What career you took was decided for you. Who you married was decided for you. When you had babies was decided for you. And suddenly there you are in a position where you have to take decision. You've never taken a decision in your life. So where does this lead anybody to? It's this kind of complete craziness of forget about multidisciplinary. We are not even disciplinary, let alone we are at least 8 out of 10 people that I used to ask, today it's getting slightly better, at least amongst a certain elite. But 8 out of 10 people of not only my age, but down till people who are 30 today, if you ask them whether they are following what they wanted to do, 8 out of 10 will say no. What
Hmm.
does that mean?
Yeah.
So forget
Yeah.
multidisciplinary. They are not even allowed to, अरे बच्चे छोड़ना ये क्या करना है, you have to concentrate on your studies, first class नहीं मिलेगा तो college में education नहीं मिलेगा, etc. etc. etc.
Hmm.
Unlike people like me, I was encouraged to do everything. I went to the first Montessori school, which Madame Montessori started. I used to do carpentry and make tables that never stood still. They always went like this. But that's why I didn't go into carpentry seriously. But I was in the football team. I was the only girl in the football team. I used to also learn Manipuri. My first dancing was from the Jhaveri sisters, and I learned Manipuri, and I learned all sorts of things. I learned African dance. I learned African weaving, Manipuri weaving, etc., etc. House was like that. School was like that. I just was very fortunate. And I encourage everybody to do it. We push our students here. They are with us for 7 years. We push them into doing all manner of things. Because I think
Hmm.
to become the person you are supposed to become, it's necessary. And most of us don't become that person.
Hmm. But what about a dancer? Like for a dancer, why would you say that multidisciplinarity is valuable? Like how would it
Because
inform their
everything
dance?
feeds into my abhinaya. Everything feeds into my understanding of what dance is. Everything feeds into my understanding. If I know about cosmic ray physics, it makes my understanding of Shiva better. That's why. Because I am not a puppet. I am a thinking body, thinking individual who uses dance as my subject, as my language. There are lots of fabulously boring, technically superb dancers, and you say, so what?
Hmm. All right. I was hoping to again get you to articulate and flesh out this idea of multidisciplinarity because I think particularly in the classical dance world, I don't know
People
if
ask
it's
me,
the case
Aranyani,
anymore, but
people ask
yes.
me, are you a better actress because you trained as a dancer? Or are you a better dancer because you trained as an actress? Who the hell
Hmm.
cares? Who the hell cares? If I am a great dancer or a great actress or a great performer or a nice person, whatever, why shouldn't I feed into everything that I have around me? What a waste.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
if I
agree with
saw,
you
maybe
completely.
if I saw a terrible accident on the street and it registered, maybe the next time I'm showing Karuna, it will be a different Karuna than what my teacher taught me and where I'm
Absolutely.
stunted.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And which is why I don't understand when people compartmentalize, their lives and say that, no, this part I will not show
That's
through my
fear, that's
dance or
fear,
this,
that's fear. Same fear we were
that's fear.
talking about.
All right. So I saw somewhere or read somewhere, I can't remember now, but you train with Kittappa Pillai. So I wanted to ask you about your thoughts on what happened to the hereditary dancers and how the Bharatanatyam world has dealt with this uncomfortable history. Like,
I'm
what is your
sorry, I'm sorry. As I am not a dance scholar and it interests me not at all. Forgive me, but this kind of discussion of whether the egg came first or the chicken came first, I don't care. I use a fabulous language which is called Pandanallur Bharatanatyam, which Kittappa started, but my mother expanded into what is today Darpana style of Bharatanatyam. And I don't care whether it's the Devadasis who danced or whether it's the upper caste who danced or the lower caste. For me, it's a useless and for me a puerile discussion in the world where I stand today.
Hmm.
I'm sorry. This is a Chennai
No, no,
discussion.
don't be sorry.
No, this is a Chennai discussion.
That's why I asked it because a lot
Not
of
interested.
conversations
Not
were
interested.
happening.
Not interested. Couldn't care less.
Okay, I'm going to ask you something that I think you will care about. You make a distinction between patriotism and love for India, which I found very interesting, and I would really like you to flesh it out for me. How has, and you actually, I mean, I don't want to say that you rejected the term, but you would, you prefer to use the term love for India than patriotism.
Today,
So
patriotism,
how,
like the word Hinduism, has become a weaponized, dirty word to destroy humanity.
yes.
I
So,
used
but
to
how do
love
you,
my I used to love my country very much. Today I am deeply ashamed of what my country has become. I am trying to
Mhm.
make it better. I am trying to bring back some of the values that I think are integral to our nation. We were not even a nation, we were a culture. And that
Mhm.
culture had many different weaves. To say this is Bharat Mata, hello, maybe it's not Bharat Mata for me, that image. Maybe
Mhm.
that image is a vulgar image for me. Maybe taking the Harappan dancing girl and putting her into clothes for textbooks today is for me what vulgarity is.
Absolutely.
So, patriotism has become something that I can pick up and kill you for if I don't think you are patriotic. And I don't justify that. I will not be part of that. I will not be part of a weaponizing machinery. When I say I loved India and I don't like what it has become just now, and I'm part of trying to get it going again, a tiny, tiny microscopic part, but that's what will perhaps one day turn the tide.
Mm.
I mean that not that I love people who look like you or me, not people who dress like us, whatever that like us is, but I like the soil of Kerala. And I love the orchid that grows in Arunachal. And I love the fact that they have no studs, and that's still something I can call my culture. And
Mm.
it's diverse and it's amazing. What I'm wearing just now is what the Bharwad community, the cow herding community's dhotis are. And when they see me in a trouser suit, and they are so amused, they are so amused. And they say, "Kya baat hai behan, aapne kya kar diya?" But that is a belonging. It's not that I am mocking them. I love their colors, I love their weaves, and I'm celebrating it my way. You're going to hear me. They're going to change the battery on my camera, so I'll disappear visually for a second. But continue talking.
No, no problem. The follow-up question to this is, how has your love for India, or the India that was, how would you say that it has come through in your work? I mean, we can all see how it comes through, but like, what would you say about like
That I'm not
how?
afraid to show my culture and myself, warts and all, and I don't think the warts take away from anything.
All right. Okay, so I another quote that I heard you say was, I didn't want to become political. So what happened? What do you think is the connection between art and politics, or art and activism?
Today we
And what do
can't.
you,
Today we don't have the luxury to say I'm apolitical. What I wear is political. Whether I eat beef or not is political. Whether I wear nylon is political. Whether I live in this kind of a house or that kind of house is political. Whether I sit on this chair or on the floor is political. Whether I eat with my fingers or I eat with three golden forks is political. What is not political? Which school I go to is political. Which school my child goes to is political. Everything is political.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. When you hear somebody like, for example, Diljit Dosanjh recently said that I'm an artist, keep me out of all this politics and all that. Like, what would your response be to someone, not him, but like, I hear this a lot. Keep art out of politics. Why are you politicizing something? Why are you intellectualizing this? And I know that this is not something that I have heard in isolation, directed at me alone. I know that it is an atmosphere in the dance world or in the entertainment world. that art should be kept separate and politics ke jaga is a different space. Um, yeah,
What would my answer be?
to that person
I
who would
wouldn't
say that
bother
art
to
is not
answer.
real,
Aranyani,
right?
I am
uh,
old enough today to not answer and to just smile and say, Acha beta.
okay, all right. Yes, you said somewhere that you found the vocabulary of Bharatanatyam particularly versatile in terms of utilizing it for contemporary themes, which you didn't find with the other forms of dance and movement that you learned. Could you tell us a little bit more about that? Like why Bharatanatyam was more versatile for you?
I don't know. At one stage in my career, I'm a Bharatanatyam Kuchipudi trained dancer. You see, I do contemporary work and I do dance theater and whatever, but my training is Bharatanatyam and Kuchipudi. And in my youth, I felt Kuchipudi reflected me much more.
Mm,
I was this very extroverted, bouncy person, and I always thought I would never be able to create, that I was the perfect mud for somebody else to create with, but that I was not a creator. It was not till very late in that sense, 1990, when I finished the Mahabharata and I came out of the Mahabharata a very changed person, uh, that I thought, I have to create because nobody else is going to create what's in my head. I tried, but I couldn't find a dramaturge or a director or anybody else who wanted to do what I did. So,
mm,
and that's when I started falling more and more in love with Bharatanatyam. There is something about, I hate this word, but for want of a better word, the purity of line. Not in all
mm.
Bharatanatyam, huh? There's a lot of very bad Bharatanatyam going around. But certainly in the Bharatanatyam that I have been taught, there is a strength in that purity, which gives me a jumping off ground, which Kuchipudi doesn't. Kuchipudi for me remains much more a fun style. I have tried
Mm.
working with Kuchipudi and issues and have not succeeded, have not been happy. But there is something gravitational about Bharatanatyam that gives me the possibility of that. I can't explain
Okay.
it better.
Yeah, yeah. No, no. I think I understand, and hopefully others do as well. Okay, so we have come to the my list of questions. I do have some backup questions in case the interaction. I mean, in case anybody's feeling shy or if people
Good.
don't have questions or whatever. But I would like to now open the floor to everybody who's present here. Just one request during the open interaction, if we could all turn on our cameras, especially if you're going to ask a question, because it's always nice to talk to a face
Face.
rather than a screen with a name. So, yeah, if anybody has a question, I know Yagnaseni, I know you have questions, so you can start maybe.
Yeah, sure. Good evening. Um, am I clearly audible?
You are.
Okay. Um, so
And clearly
I have been
visible.
waiting for. Okay. I've been waiting for the past 10 months. I live in Kolkata, but I have come to a vacation in Ladakh, and I've been so
Lucky
excited
you.
that I joined this from Ladakh wearing a jacket in July.
I envy you that as well. We are sweltering in 40 degrees and no rain.
Yeah, the El Nino effect has been so bad. I have a couple of questions, if time permits. But my
Yes.
first question, which I would like to ask, is with the time evolving, do you believe that the Guru Shishya phenomenon that has been there since time immemorial has evolved, or does it need evolution, especially when we are juxtaposing it with conversations around critical thinking and freedom of speech?
I've never believed in my lifetime in the Guru Shishya thing. I think the Guru Shishya Parampara was correct at a particular time. We have other things that are going on parallelly, and for me to be locked up in doing jhadu for my guru for 3 years is just not an option. It's a waste of time, and I have never ever believed in it. I'm sure it was true. Just to give you an example of this, I'm also Chancellor of Kerala Kalamandalam, and one of the questions I'm asking the Kathakali gurus there is that I can understand in a time when there was no electricity that you woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning because people went to bed at 7. And what is it that you can do at 4 o'clock that you can't do 2 hours later? So why are you waking up children today who are huddled on their phones till 11:30 watching something, even in their darkness under a sheet? Why wake them up at 4 o'clock in the morning? What is this tradition? We get completely mixed up between tradition that needs to change and tradition that has a validity today. So I don't think there's any place. What's the point of talking about Guru Shishya thing when my NEET exam is due and when my petrol is not getting any cheaper? What Guru Shishya? I have 100 other things that I'm attending to. Sacrilege, sacrilege. I will probably be in the bad books even more of all the purists sitting in Chennai. Ask
Can
your
I ask
second
a follow-up?
question.
You had
So, yeah, we talked about the daily practices of life, like making your shishya wake up early in the morning, and the entire jharu thing, which is like talked about. But in the question of creative making, do you believe that this trickles down into the hierarchies of within the dance world, and might it affect artistic expression?
Sorry, I didn't understand your question.
Okay, let me reframe it. So, the Guru Shishya phenomenon, which maybe still exists now of unquestioning obedience, does it trickle down to the creative making capability of the Shishya into a piece that he or she or they form? And does that hierarchy that exists within the dance world affect artistic expression? Uh,
It
did I
certainly
get my
affects creativity because without curiosity, there is no search, and without search, there can be no actual creativity. Because why would you want to create if you thought everything was hunky dory and everything was fulfilled and your plate was full? It is by needling the creativity, needling the curiosity, needling the. I mean, if you look at the real Guru Shishya Parampara, it was all about questions. The Upanishads, whether you take it, were all written because questions were asked. So the Guru Shishya Parampara, where no questions are asked, is a corruption of the system. It's not the real system. I mean, when I have a vacuum cleaner, why should I spend 3 hours doing jhadu? I would spend it more doing my adabus. Time has such a
Ragnar,
different context today. It's all sort of zeroed in, isn't it? Aranyadi, back
Ragnar,
to
do
you.
you have another question? Do you have another question?
Arnyani, you continue if there's time towards the end. I'll
Okay, sure, sure.
and thank you,
That
Malika
would.
ji.
Does anybody have a question? If you'd like to ask a question to Mallika ji, anything that you'd like, and why, if you need some more time to think, then I will ask my question, my personal one, which is, I know that you often call yourself a pariah in the dance world, and so how did you find the strength to carry on dancing in a dance world that you felt had isolated you? And it's quite hard.
Luckily, I live in neither Chennai nor Bangalore nor Delhi. That's where all the vampires are out, male and female vampires. That's where all the doles are given, the awards are given, none of which I really, none of that is the fuel to my engine. I create art because that is the way I speak to the world. I create art because I have to talk about something that is bothering me, and art is my expression. I'm a pariah because for many, many, many years in my early career, Bharatanatyam dancers would say, oh, but she's just a film actress, or she's just a Kuchipudi dancer. And likewise from Kuchipudi dancers. And you know, when I first became a professional dancer, even before that, I remember in a particular Kalke Kalakar, before I became a professional dancer, uh, I was at the Kalke Kalakar and got a review. It was the same time I was doing films as well. I was half the show and Pratima Bedi was the other half. And I got a review in Bombay which said something as stupid as, why does somebody so beautiful want to waste their time? Let her go to films. And I remember being deeply wounded. I must have been, what, 18? Deeply, deeply wounded. And I took the newspaper and I cut out the review and I made a paper boat of it and I sank it in my bathtub. It was such a sense of satisfaction. Then after a while, it didn't have to be physical anymore. I still do it.
Right. I mean, yeah, it's a coping mechanism, isn't it? Also,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And you know, nobody fuels your life. You have to fuel it, or you have to become a slave to somebody you think will fuel it. You get breaks, you don't get breaks, people give you breaks. You know, my PhD was on why Indians become corrupt so quickly. Uh, and one of the things I understood there was that one of the ways Indians assert power is by saying that I'm a chamcha, basically not saying a chamcha, but being a chamcha. You know, my brother-in-law knows the minister's wife's mother-in-law. Therefore, I hold the key. And it's a bit like that in any profession. It's like that in dance. You miss some, you get some. In our profession, as in the Me Too movement came out, you sleep with some, you don't sleep with some. People you sleep with either fulfill their bargain, they don't fulfill it. You drop a pallu, you don't drop a... I mean, ultimately, you have to make your own destiny, and ultimately there's that much you can cheat. You know, you see dancers who look like all the idlis they eat and don't rehearse. You see them pretty quickly, the disdain that they have for the audience, the fantastic names they made themselves when they were dancing beautifully, and continue living on that, and the stupidity as they see of the audience by not ever rehearsing and by becoming unseemly and not caring. If we have a public that wants to adulate that, so be it. I think we have to decide on what is important to us very early and go by that.
Right. All right. Does anybody have any questions for Malika ji?
We have 5 more minutes.
Oh, do we?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We have only 5 more minutes. Are you sure? Nobody, Yagna, do you have any other questions?
Yeah, I have two more questions actually.
Uh,
Um, so Mallika ji, I was going through one of the videos on YouTube. Am I audible, though? Okay. So it was 10 years back. Uh, like I went through the video, which is dated 10 years back. It was in the Asian Art Museum, and you were performing Sita's Daughters, excerpts from Sita's Daughters. So I just wanted to ask, since the music and the dance was like predominantly taking Bharatnatyam steps, as well as you were speaking, and there was, uh, I don't know if it's correct to call it mime, but you were speaking as well as dancing. And you were wearing a black suit with a red fan that we use around our belly. I just wanted to ask that about your
That was not
inspiration
Sita's.
behind.
That was not Sita's daughters. It was In Search of the Goddess.
Uh, but it was.
If I was wearing black, it was In Search of the Goddess. But never mind. You ask your question anyway.
Yeah, so I just wanted to ask your inspiration behind the costume, because we don't really see that type of costume in Bharatanatyam. And also, were you trying to blur the lines between creative dance, or making your expression forward, and Bharatanatyam? Or was it, did you retain Bharatanatyam? Did the costume matter at all, like in retaining Bharatanatyam or blurring the lines?
I use a stripped down Bharatanatyam Kuchipudi costume as in the sculptures very often. For many years, I had a crew cut, so I was not wearing talai saman and so on anyway. I used to wear my own hair's wig when I was doing a classical performance. Neither Sita's Daughters nor In Search of the Goddess are classical performances. They are what I call my one women shows, where one sequence might be using Bharatanatyam, another sequence might be having me singing, a third sequence might be having me standing on my head or doing cartwheels. So I wasn't trying to do anything. I was trying to be comfortable, but not wear Western clothes, still retain a form that for me shows dance off very well. I think the flared trousers of Bharatanatyam or Kuchipudi show off the body very beautifully. Especially, and they also give me the possibility of sitting any which way, which a skirt wouldn't, a skirt costume or a sari wouldn't. And in many of my one women shows, I do funny things like jump off tables and so on. So, but I love the fact of it still being something that you can see the shape of the body. Because for me, the shape of the body is a very important part of any performing art. I was telling you earlier about dancers who let themselves get this size and everything jiggles when you dance and you're thinking in your head of them 50 years ago or whatever. Because I think dance is primarily, the entrance is a visual one. You can go into the soul afterwards. But your first impression, if you are a sighted person, your first impression of the world is through a visual. So if you have a wonderful Ayurvedic medicine in a really ugly, crumpled up packaging, you are unlikely to pick that up. You are more likely to pick up something which is done artistically, like in a banana leaf with perhaps a reed tied to it. So the visual effect is very important, but my comfort is equally important. So I have stripped it down. I can still layer it with everything that will make it into a pakka Bharatanatyam costume. I have the fan because I think it gives a beautiful form. I have the trousers. Sometimes I have a choli, sometimes I have a long sleeve shirt. But it's what I have done for my work. Sometimes I have a skirt over it. Sometimes in one of my pieces called I'm missing the piece, but I have a skirt which can become 50 different things. So it can be opened up and thrown as a shawl, half the skirt when be turned into a pair of trousers, all of that. So for me, visual form is very important, comfort is very important, and not giving a false information that this is going to be a classical kacheri is very important. All of those.
Can I ask my last question?
Yeah, and we
Yes.
shall end with that.
Sorry, Malikaka, my mother also has one question, so we'll end with that if you don't mind.
So that her last question doesn't come, we'll go to your mother.
Okay. Yeah.
I was just saying that a lot of people are discouraging children from going into the classical arts because whether it's music or dance, it's just not supported by the state or by this society. And it's becoming terribly hard for people who are in this field. And I just want to flag this because there used to be a kind of patronage earlier, which is absent. Now there's an active discouragement. In fact, to my horror, I learned that the British school in Delhi is teaching children Bollywood dance.
So are many embassies of India around the world. That's the state of the world we are. When Bollywood represents India more than anything else. Yeah. No, it's a thankless task. Only do it if you can't do anything else and you're so passionate about it that you will do other things for your bread and butter and you will do this for your soul.
Yeah.
After 48 years of running Darpana, I still beg for money. And with my political views, let me tell you, it's getting more and more difficult.
Yeah. It's hard to come by.
So yes, people are discouraging, and yet we have more and more students.
That's encouraging, yeah.
But I have to tell you, in Gujarat, very few take it as a career. Most of them become physiotherapists in Toronto.
Oh my God.
But I meet people after 30 years, 40 years, and they hold my hand and they say, you know, we learnt in Darpana. And I just have to say, I've never danced after that. But every time I faced a crisis in my life, it's what I learnt at Darpana in those 7 years that has kept me going. That for me is very important. I'm not here to train racehorses. I'm here to train better human beings. And if dance is a wonderful way of doing it, so be it.
Yeah.
I'm going to add something. I'm down with fever. My name is Rajiv Bhargav.
I saw your name on there.
Yeah, but I've just returned from Jodhpur, where I attended, along with some of my colleagues, a course on medieval Gujarati and Rajasthani.
Poetry.
Not just poetry, prose, poetry, texts on music. And these were texts such as Sangeet, what was it? Sangeeta, Taranga, and, texts which are sort of hidden in archives and people have never seen them before. And there were 100 people attending that course. This initiative started 4 years ago with only 10 people attending. And now there are 100 in 4 years. So there is a hunger somewhere.
I agree.
People
I agree with you entirely.
Yes.
I agree with you entirely. It's just that we have to feed it differently because we live in different times. To talk about Guru Shishya Parampara is useless. We have to use the latest AI techniques to be able to teach something that has core value and that will give core value to somebody else's life.
So I don't know how we can channelize this and, what kind of...
Mr. Bhargava, come visit us at Darpana. It will give you something to feel good about, I promise.
Yeah. We'll definitely come.
I'm going to do that.
You must come.
I'll definitely
Thank you very much.
We've been in touch for other reasons as well.
Uh, me?
Yes, yes, we
Yes,
have.
Yes.
you're talking about me and you.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think both of you. Yeah,
Yes.
Professor Rajiv Bhargava and Dr. Mallika Sarabhai.
Yes,
Yes,
absolutely.
But why not with me?
No,
right. So, I will just say thank you so much. I know that Yagnaseni, I know that you had another question. I will make sure that
You can give her my phone number or email ID and I will answer her.
yes. Yeah, I was just going to say that Mallika Akka is very approachable and accessible, and I will ask her if I can give you her contact details so that you can ask her and she'll answer um, aram se without this deadline
It
of
was
7 o'clock looming
wonderful
over her head.
attending the session. It was wonderful.
It was good. Okay, wonderful. I'm glad. So, thank you so much, Mallika Akka, for this enlightening, thought-provoking conversation. I had so many more questions to ask you, and I really wanted to ask you a little bit more about Gaza, but we've run out of time.
Another session.
Another session. Yes. Yeah, but thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.